start. We are still expecting a couple of more people to join us. But anyways, good morning. Good morning from Kuopio. We are in the headquarters of Super Operator. My name is Mika Lapies. I'm one of the speakers and also have a pleasure to be also the moderator for this webinar. This is actually the second Super webinars we are organizing, and as for the first one, you can always ask questions, and please use the chat. It makes our lives a little bit easier that the questions are in the chat, and we can cover the questions after each of the presentations. So we have reserved quite a lot of time for the questions as well. So please do ask questions, and also comments are very welcome. So about the speakers, we have on the left-hand side, that's me. I hope that you recognize me also from the video still. Then I have here my colleague Riku Uotinen. Riku is the CTO of Super Operator. And then we have a guest speaker from Germany, Fabian Greitemann. And so Fabian, very welcome. And it's great to have you. And we are really looking forward to your presentation. I think you will bring very interesting perspective to this industry. And so good to have you here. And maybe we will hear a little story about the name of your company. That's quite interesting as well. Anyways, about the webinar, and the reason we chose customer experience, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, I think it's one of the areas which can have a great impact on the car wash businesses if done correctly. And we have seen, based on our customer base and our sort of experience in the industry, that it's an area where we can all improve. And that's why that's the first reason why we chose the customer experience as a topic. The second thing is that we have all seen that in many of the industries, the companies are moving from the product centricity into customer centricity. And that is also driving the importance of getting the customer experience right. And then thirdly, also we have seeing that digitalisation is really gaining speed, and the customer experience is an essential part of digitalisation. So when companies are starting to look at how they change their strategies in terms of digitalisation, they need to also pay attention to the customer experience. So there's this why there's multiple reasons why we wanted to choose this topic. And the customer experience, how we see it kind of encompasses all the different interactions between the customer and the company. So it's much more than just the user interface experience and so on. It's a kind of a holistic thing, which is really important. So about the agenda, really quick, I will talk a little bit about the big picture about digitalisation, and I take this opportunity also to talk a little bit about the founding idea of Super Operator, which has, as you can guess, something to do with the customer experience. And then we want to also give you a couple of ideas and viewpoints about how the technology can drive the customer experience and what you should consider when you choose the technology for this, because there's a sort of a direct link. And as we always say, it's digitalization and customer experience is more than just a mobile app, which is unfortunately sometimes the case when companies are looking at improving the customer experience or digitalization. And then the third presentation is really about giving ideas to us how other industries are doing digital transformation to drive the customer experience. I think there's a lot we can learn from there, and Fabian is going to talk about that through 3 different cases. Okay, and if I jump into my presentation, so first of all, I would like to paint the kind of a big picture. As I said, digitalization is the kind of key driver for customer experience, but it's also almost like a byproduct. It's also driving the business transformation. And the enabler of digitalization is the technology. And when you realize that, it's super important that you choose the right type of technology to drive your customer experience and business transformation. And as I said earlier, it's much more than just a mobile application. And when you get the foundation from the technology point of view correctly, you can really improve your business efficiency. So this means, for instance, like how you are maximizing your wash count, how you optimizing your profitability, and how you are optimizing the resourcing of your wash sites. And then also it is driving customer experience. And we are talking about customer journeys. And I think Rico is going to give you a couple of examples what we mean by that. But customer experience and customer journey go in hand to hand. So that means that how do you engage with your customers already before they even come to your wash site? What happens when they come to the wash site? How do you make the car wash experience very easy, seamless, without any kind of hassle? And then, of course, how do you engage with your customer after they have been to your car wash site? How do you make sure that they actually come back? So that's what customer experience is about in this context. And then last but not least is business model innovation. The technology, digitalization can also help you to really innovate on your business model. And I think there's lots of opportunities there. For instance, you can think of things like, okay, how do you attract totally new customer groups? B2Bs, fleets, all sorts of customer groups which are not typically what's in your wash sites. Or how do you customize your price plans? How do you invent dynamic price plans, and so on? And all of this, by the way, is something, when you have the technology right, you collect the data of your operations, and you can, all these 3 things, you can constantly operate because you have that data in hand, so you can really get these insights about your business to optimize these 3 things. Now, just a little bit about super operators. So actually, if you go back to, it's almost 10 years now, so our CEO, Erkki Aminov, went to a car wash site, and he realized that this is actually hard. It's hard to get the car washed. So if you see it on the bottom of the slide, you see the 9 steps he calculated to get the car washed. So it was a kind of a hassle. So he got an idea that, why don't I find ways to make this much more easier? Basically, making the whole customer journey much shorter. So you basically, we enable it that it's easy to find a car wash site. You can see where they are. When you go there, you can pay the car wash, choose the car wash, and from within your car, and you just drive to the car wash and get your car washed. And this was the kind of founding idea. And it kind of worked well because if you look at the super operator today, here are some key figures. So our platform is actually, we are washing more than 1 million cars a month through our platform, or our operators are washing. We have more than 400,000 users monthly. what is interesting is 90% of, according to our surveys, really like the way it is done by using our technology. So this ease of use and hassle-free approach is really working. And then the other numbers, there's a lot of payments transacted through our platform and so on. And interestingly, these numbers are growing pretty rapidly. And that tells us that really the industry is really picking up digitalization. They are really starting to think about, how to digitalize their operations, how to make it easy for the customers to get their car washed and innovate on their business models. So this is briefly what I wanted to talk about, and then I would welcome my colleague, our CTO, Riku Uotinen, to join me and talk a little bit about why digital experience is more than just an app. Please, Riku.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Hello everyone. I'm Riku Uotinen. I'm the CTO of Super Operator. And as Mika already briefed, I'll be talking here about the digital experience and the customer experience and why it's more than an app, just an app. And now, if we think about it, the industry, it has a great and a long history. And the ways of selling the washes has kind of like a long tradition. Also, again, looking back at that, pretty much not much have changed on the way how we sell the washes and how what customer needs to do in order to get the car washed. So I think during the decades, the biggest innovations have been traditionally incorporating these payment tokens, these kind of wash codes, and this what you can do to just when you purchase the wash from the counter, you enter it into your machine and get your car washed. And it's even more like traditionally, I feel personally like the someone who has already learned the process to get the car washed and isn't afraid of it anymore is usually the one who washes the car when it's needed. So, and also looking back at the history, when you start thinking about digitalizing something, it's often you're digitalizing something just for the sake of it, in a way. So often the natural approach is to start digitalizing parts of what you're doing with it traditionally. Like that could mean that, like replacing the wash code so that you can purchase it from the app, or you can make the payment from the app, or you can even start the washing machine through the app. But you're still kind of still selling the basic menu that you have on the board on the wash site. And how we see it in Super Operator is why not offer a completely new experience when you do the digitalization. So that's pretty much the how we came into this industry and how we saw the starting position of the industry, I would say. And then when you look at the how people use the digital services and the apps nowadays, it's often the nature of using these services is kind of the need to use something, and the need when you need the services really rapid, and how people use the apps nowadays, it's kind of the on the spot, really short terms. You have 10 seconds to minutes to get the customer's attention usually on that. So how we see it is that the customer journey can kick in whenever the individual customer needs it to do. So you can beforehand at your home, you can browse the service network. You can see what are the services available, or you might know already the regular wash site that you want to use, and you drive there and you start using it only when you arrive at the site. Or you might be even going into a meeting and you realize that you need to get your car washed before you meet your customer, and you use your digital assistant to tell them that you want to find the wash place on the route when you're arriving there. So for us, it's recognizing the customer and knowing exactly where they are and when they arrive at the site and what they are about to do, and walking them through the whole user experience when they get the car washed. We feel that this kind of lowers the barrier so that anyone can try it and isn't afraid to use these services anymore. And even beforehand, if you're hesitant about it, the app can prepare you. So it's all about kicking in with the different, the user journey can kick in whenever it needs to. And for us, for the time being, about the technology is that for us, at this time, we find it the best way to recognize the customer is all about the license plate recognition, combined together with the backend services, artificial intelligence, joined together with the interface that we can provide for the customer to walk them through about the whole journey. And it's really, you really have to experience it. It's kind of a unique experience where when you're using the app, for example, and it reacts automatically what happens on the real world. You get automatically recognized, you get the feedback from the user interface, this time being the app. And when you get walked through, you get welcomed and tell that you see, okay, now to drive in and get in. And it's about the combination of digitalizing the hardware at the site, providing these services just for you, and walking through. And it can be even like fully automated process. For some customers, the best digital experience is even less than the app itself. And for us, why it's about knowing the customer? Because the no customer is like you might be got onboarded for the services with so many backgrounds. Everyone has their own story. You might just need an occasional wash and you need to search the services, or you might be a corporate customer. Then you've been granted with these services. You might be a leasing customer or some other additional services that you get it along with the packages that you're getting. You might be a bargain hunter and you're searching for the best deals, for example. Or you might be even completely new to washing and you just want to see for the sake of these new kind of services. So you get along with. So for us, the digitalized experience is we can offer personalized product offering just for you. So based on the customer segment that you come from, if you're a single washing user or if you're a flat rate customer, even based on the car that you have, you might have a dedicated wash program for you. For us, the digitalized experience is the personalized pricing for you based on the type of the customer seat that you are, based on the volumes that you wash, upselling, doing the occasional, like the having a better deals and taking care of us. And for us also, the digitalized experience is suggesting the new kind of services based on what you have done. suggesting the flat rate based on your single washing experience, or offering additional services like inside cleaning or vacuums or these kind of things. Do a periodic extra waxing just to take care of your car and this kind of thing. So for us, it's always a unique experience for you, tailored for you. So that's pretty much how we see the digitalized experience. And on the background, so much goes into it for a customer seeing nothing for the best digitalized experience. All right. Thank you. I think that was it from my side.
Yeah. Now we take some questions, and actually, I could open up with a question.
All right. Go ahead.
So, Riku, thank you very much for your presentation. And we spoke a little bit about technology, or I did speak about technology, how important it is. So could you open up a little bit, like what type of technologies you use in the super operator platform, and how do you see it? How do you see the industry in 5 years' time from now?
Yeah. So as I already said in my presentation, the current technologies that we use, it all concentrates into recognizing the customer. So it means the license plate recognition, but it's only for today. In the future, we don't care. Our platform is ready for how we see the car should itself identify the customer and the need for the use. For the user interface, it's now the app, but for in the short-term future, it should be the car itself. It should be the dashboard. It should be whatever the form of the digital assistance is in the future. And in terms of technology and knowing the customer, it's all about collecting the data, knowing the individual customer's history, and using the artificial intelligence to suggest and to serve your personal needs in a way. So it's business intelligence, it's analytics, data mining, and all these combined to provide this unique experience tailored for you.
So you collect lots of data about the customers and wash operations themselves. What about the connectivity to the wash equipment itself? Because that's part of your solution. So how do you see that? And can you a little bit open up how that is done?
Yeah. So when digitalizing, our approach is that we can't demand that you have to invest and renew everything that you have on the site and that you have already invested in. So for us, it's digitalizing your existing equipment and your resources that you're offering. So basically, we can digitalize pretty much all kind of washing machines, self-service base, and these jet washes, vending machines, vacuum cleaners, map cleaners. So everything starting from kind of hooking up with the coin counters that the vending machines might have, and into the most modern washing machines that they have on the field. And even maybe adding to that, even partnering with the manufacturers so that we can even be the connectivity partner in some case for the sites and the
like with WashTech and Christ and so on. Yeah. Okay. We have one question from our very good partner from Germany, from Clever Waschen. So Nico is asking, what's your experience regarding churn in subscriptions?
Yeah. So we see that the users usually when we get them onboarded and really getting into a subscription, in many markets that's really new thing. So it's often a little bit scary thing for the existing operators. But we've seen that it really brings up the loyalty. It really enhances the customer's experience because they know that they can wash whenever they need, not whenever they have to. So it's all about they also know that they can take better care of their cars and these kind of things. So we see that it's really bringing the loyalty, and they are really happy with this kind of subscription type of services. Having said that, having offerings in place, like whenever your situation changes, like let's say that you have a vacation time, you go somewhere else where these services aren't available. It's all about being flexible with the customer, allowing them to maybe put it in pause in some markets, in some situation, if you're not allowed to, or if you're not able to offer these services in these kind of things. Corona time brought really kind of turbulence in this area. So having options along there. So some subscribers might think that they're not able to move anymore. They don't want to go there. So having options in the product offering, like I could say, like pay as you go. So instead, don't leave completely. We can switch you and hook you up with this pay as you go situation. So you still have the freedom to go to wash. We will just charge you per use itself.
And I guess when you have all the data, then you can easily calculate like how many times do people wash their cars in average per month, and then you can calculate, like is it profitable to actually apply the subscription models or not? And I think looking at the data, we see that it's pretty profitable.
Yeah, it is, and because we have the experience and we have the data, it's for us it's really secured model. We can pretty much often even kind of carry the risk on these subscription services because we know exactly how the customer behaves and we know the risks. Pretty much the lack of the risks there.
And I think we have a time for one more question. There's a question about that some customers might have an anxiety to provide their data or use credit card payments and so on. So what's your experience about that, and how do we deal with that?
Yeah, it's been on the news, pretty much having this GDPR, European Payment Service Directive, and these kind of things. So it's all about being really open about it, telling them what we collect, and always communicating that we collect only the amount of data that we need in order to serve you better. So the customer needs to feel that they are handing their personal data for their benefit. So it's openly telling that and also allowing the options. So you can always opt out, but then the service and the experience that you're getting, I feel that they often see it in a way that they see that the lack of the experience and the service that they are getting is gradually worse if they don't provide. So the customer needs to feel that they are giving something, but it's always for their sake. So it's kind of, they need to feel that it's their data, but it's just for them there. So.
Okay, good. There's one for Michael. Michael is asking, do you have a mock-up that you can show here? I think, Michael, we can't show a mock-up, but we are very happy to show you a demo. So we can get in touch, and then we can make an appointment, and we can do a sort of a deep dive in the system itself. So Maria will take a note of that. All right, thank you, Riku.
Thank you.
Very well done. And then we move forward to Fabian. So Fabian, please, it's all yours, and don't forget to tell us the story about your company name.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, go quickly. Yes, Pizza. It's basically like we're a digital product studio, and we were wondering how we could call ourselves, because it's not like a classic graphic design studio or just like an interaction design studio. And we came across the two pizza rule, which says like keep the team as small as two large pizzas could feed the entire team. And we kind of like that approach. It's like this, yeah, Silicon Valley approach, how to organize your teams. And yeah, one of the things, like, try to keep them as small as possible and with all the like competence you need for this project. So like Amazon, for example, is structured after divisions. Once you scale a company, you need some sort of like departments, divisions, but everything that you build new, it's better to organize them around the two pizza rule. That's a bit of a background story about
Thank
our
you.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, today I share some insights about fashion retail. So as like a digital product studio, we basically modeled on the two pizza rule, and we basically work with clients on all things that are technology related. For us, what makes it so interesting is that technology can like influence like every part of our life these days. How we buy, evaluate, discover things, how we buy, listen to music, how we find new brands, how we interact with brands. How we get from A to B, basically. It's all happen in this like small interface, and for us, like that's yeah, pretty exciting because this is where you can make like the biggest impact of some terms of strategy. This is why we focus on digital products, and then we help with usually like setting up e-commerce or redesigning e-commerce. Or digitalizing certain process. In the hospitality business, it's a lot about how to book and get into a house, for example, or into a hotel or room, and compared to like bigger digital transformation. Yeah, some capabilities we work around with strategy, design, technology, and today we show you one example of what we have learned with working with one of the clients, applying all this competence and working on these frontiers. So what happened to fashion retail is basically you have a physical store, and a physical store is, you know, it's like it's an assortment of goods and it's a service staff, and tied basically to a physical location. And of course, then you have like the aspects of like architecture, etc. But basically, that's it. So what happens to digital transformation is the customer is having like a smartphone, is using the smartphone. So there are two things. One is external, one is internal. So internally, like digitalization happened, I think like a couple of years before, like it picked up by customers when it comes to like internal processes. But what really changed fashion retail when it comes to digital is that the more and more people have a smartphone and using the smartphone for all kind of like, let's say, practices or use cases. So for example, I'm looking for a specific Nike sneaker. I don't do it like back in the days where I just go to my physical store, which is around the corner, and look if they have a Nike sneaker. Or back in the days, a lot of people just went to like a physical store asking, hey, do you have a nice shoe from Nike? Or they just were looking for like sweatshirts. But what happens now is like people are more aware, for example, of certain brands, and they're looking for certain products. And if you don't have that product and they know it up front, they might not come. If you not don't have the product, but you might have something similar, and people know, hey, don't have that product that I'm looking for, but they have something similar, they might come. So a lot of the things, the interaction between like a physical store and a potential customer is basically happening on the interface, from reaching out to new people or new customers to basically serving existing customer segments. Today, I show you a couple of challenges that like physical stores or physical retail stores in the fashion scene, what kind of like challenges they have, and then what we did, how we helped, what they did, what worked out. So one of the challenges is increased competition puts pressure on the business. So because you're not only competing against your physical stores that are in close proximity, let's say we're in Berlin, this fashion store is in Berlin, it mainly competes with other stores in Berlin or in a specific area, for like certain foot traffic. But if people don't come to your fashion store, like your physical fashion store, but like the traffic goes where people find their latest product, or they have another store has a certain promotion, you start to lose clients or customers. And at the same time, a lot of the things that a fashion store, like a retail store, was known for or used in the before, like technology was a lot about, for example, guidance. Like I don't know what to buy. I need inspiration. Oh, these today, a lot of people do that online. So this is a role, for example, that's not really relevant anymore. The other things like get more traffic, increase shopping cart value, increase frequency of existing customers, or loyalty of existing customers, and basically also to understand your own business, because this is another thing that a lot of people or a lot of businesses are starting to understand. What are we actually doing here? We built them an e-commerce store, and we connected the e-commerce store also to POS store. So we basically know if somebody, for example, buys online and buys also offline, we get the full picture of somebody. At the same time, it helps with all like internal processes. For example, if we see we have a lot of demand online but not offline, then for example, we also know how to manage, for example, the warehouse in a different way. The other thing is if we feel like, oh, there's a lot of demand about a product when it comes to offline, we have an offline sales thing, then we don't have to do it online. So we can only offer it, for example, to local customers that are nearby. Then a couple of ideas after we went live with the first e-commerce stores. One of the things is visibility. So a lot of people starting to search on the web, for example, for your store or for specific products. So visibility is if people come to your store, you want to create like a great customer experience. So the customer experience happens or starts with, I'm thinking about going to the store. So for example, if people would come like around like 6:30 and then you have to kick them out at like 7, it's a bad customer experience. So it's all about expectation management. So if we say, for example, all the opening times when people like Google it quickly are accurate, the place where the shop is located is accurate. Maybe you have even like a small description. So we started to fill out all this like information to be like as accurate as possible. So if people search for something, then they're gonna find us and they have like a clear information that starts with like managing the expectation. The other thing is we started to shoot all products, for example, on models in their own like photo studio, which then helped us with the digitalization of the warehouse. That when people Google, for example, like a Nike shirt, we show up with 2 photos. One is even saying like in stock, one is of the key information for a customer when looking for to buy that shirt. Then it's like, oh, Boost store, like this fashion retail store, has it in stock. I already made my decision where I'm going, where I go and I buy this shirt. Rather than, for example, oh, maybe the Nike store in Charlottenburg also has it. It's always like another investment of time and energy. If I see like, oh, it's my favorite store and they have it in stock, okay, I immediately go. The other thing is that a lot of people, for example, who are not aware of this fashion retail store, they might see that person and the shirt on the person and it looks good. So they might click on it because this photo gives them the best impression or to evaluate the product. So they land on our website and see that then we have it, or they say like, oh, it's an interesting website. What is this store about? Then they get familiar with the product assortment. Then they see, oh, it's not that far away, and then we might have acquired a new customer in a very like kind of like easy way. The other thing is like visibility. A lot of people like we started to see like mobile traffic. Not one of the number one search inquiries is where exactly is that store. So if you don't provide like nice or like accurate information, or for example imagery that reassure the customer, yeah, this is the store I'm looking for, and or if people are for example like nearby and they're a bit bored, or they came to the city as a tourist, they want to shop, the what they do is they basically Google retail stores or fashion, and then if you pop up with what kind of information do you, for example, then pop up. But this is all like an ad. The minute the people see like, oh, like that store looks amazing, I can see also the reviews, the feedback, what people say, so it's worth going there. And so within like 2-3 seconds and 2-3 swipes and clicks, you basically can convince people to come and have like a physical experience, and then you can over deliver, and then you might have another loyal customer. The other thing is raise your profile. um, for example, we started to fill out accurate information and made up our mind of like what this store makes it unique, because for a lot of people it's just like, yeah, it's a fashion store, it's a fashion store. But if you then make it unique about like the product assortment you have, or you say for example like contemporary clothing, and then you also show the rest of the product categories, they understand it's not just a clothing store. Oh, and I see, oh, and they also have like a cafe, in an old Smith shop. So we talk about architecture, we talk about like, oh, let's go there for a cafe, and then I can have like a coffee and you do the shopping. So we raise our profile, so people who are not familiar with our store in 2-3 sentences get an idea of what makes this store special, or how does this store, for example, differentiate itself from other fashion retail stores which might be nearby. The other thing is like understanding your customers. So once you get all the data, and for example, hey, these are my top selling products compared to the last 2 years, it's actually declining. It's still my top selling product, but it's then declining. Then I can start to think about, okay, what could be the driver behind that? Or, and this is another example, the better you understand your customers and you can segment them, the better you can serve them. So, for example, Farfetch is like a pure digital player. So Farfetch connects basically physical fashion boutiques and makes them or their assortment accessible through a website. So what they see, or what they realize is they make a lot of money with a tiny percentage of the customers. So they started to identify who are these customers, and as the CEO says it very clearly, so they announce basically a fashion yacht delivery service. So if you're on your boat and you ship through the Mediterranean Sea and you want to shop clothing, you can choose the clothes digitally. Then they come to the harbor, come on your boat, and then you can try the things on. What you don't like, you can send it back. What you like, you just keep and pay. You could think like, oh my god, like what a crazy investment. Why? How does it scale? Like why does he do it? If you understand that you make a lot of money with these people, you can offer either these kind of services in order to keep the customer happy, or to just make more money with the same existing customer. But the underlying value, or the underlying basis, is basically that you have the data, that there is a percentage of my customer segment that is very profitable for me. They like to be on a boat during summer. How can I, it's worth to intensify this relationship with this customer segment. And what the CEO said, the decision to launch Farfetch in a way was directly related to our unique ability to respond to insights from our customers about their lifestyles and shopping needs. And this is the thing, like if you a decision like this, if you can't back it up with the data and you just make it a gut decision, it's a very, I would say, risky or tricky game. If you know that, for example, these, it's a profitable segment, they all have yacht, they like to spend time there. If you launch it but nobody is there, but like the customer segment is super profitable for you, but they don't like be on the boat, you're starting to have like issues, and then it's not worth the investment, for example. So you're basically de-risking a lot of the future or decisions you make.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Very interesting, and I couldn't help on like drawing a parallel, and car wash business and fashion world could be seen as very far apart. But you were talking about exactly the same things, like food traffic. How to drive food traffic to a store. It's the same thing, how to drive traffic to the wash site, how to make the locations known, same thing. And also what was very interesting was, like the setting the expectations when the customers are going to the store. So we've seen extremely important when they are going to the site, they know how many cars are in a queue, for instance. So then you have expectations, and it doesn't have to be that there's no cars, but as long as the expectations are met. The other thing which was very interesting was like the second example you gave was how to use the data to create insights to your business, and then how to optimize that business. So that was really interesting. So those were kind of the things what popped up to my mind, and also we might think, okay, these are two separate industries, but those same people who are buying those clothes are also driving their cars, and they are washing their cars, so they expect a little bit same kind of experience. What maybe fashion industry is giving them, they expect the same from the car wash industry. So that we shouldn't forget.
This is something like we see with a lot of clients. It's the digitalization is mainly driven by the customers. The customers are usually like 2, 3, 10 years sometimes ahead, and they come with like certain customer expectations. And if the businesses doesn't serve these like higher customer expectation or meet this higher customer expectation, they just go to the business that meet the higher expectation. Simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's actually a question for you, Fabian, from Linda. To your experience, what has been the main reason for slow pace towards digitalization in Germany / German customers?
It's a good question. So from a customer perspective, first of all, I think we're pretty good with Germany in terms of adoption of smartphones. I think the issue that she's mentioning is Germans are very skeptical in terms of privacy and data and things like this, and this is changing now. So we are used to, or the German now is used to have like online banking. Once they have like trust in the system, then it accelerates like 10 times quicker. And this is what we see at the moment. It's like just because something is possible doesn't mean that people are doing it. But as, for example, like in the States, you have much more competition within society, within businesses. But once, for example, like in Germany, once like people understood like the systems are, secure now, even like smaller systems. One of the biggest competitor of Amazon is not another company that looks like Amazon, it's Shopify. But today, even the Germans, for example, we're used to buy from a small store online because we know like the systems behind that are working, my data is safe, and my privacy is safe. if you look at small online shops of small retail stores, like back in the days, they were all looking a bit like sketchy, etc., etc. So, but because the technical infrastructure has become like so mature and secure, like Germans who are a bit more like skeptical about these things, and then maybe there's like less competition for them. They adopt it more quickly because now they're like, I don't know, now even my father is like, it's the most normal thing to use the phone to search for things, go there, expect these things. And I mean, COVID has accelerated everything. I mean, even the 70-year-old German was forced to use click and collect. You know, like rather than like, no, that's not something for me. Now you're forced. And then they understand, or they do it, then they understand the benefits of from it. And then this is like where the strategic value is, in my opinion. Would people go back? I don't think so. You know, once you get used to like click and collect, use this like digital interface to make things easier. Don't go to the shop and you miss a product because you haven't looked it up beforehand. Once you get used to that, I don't think people would then go back to like, basically this whole like technology thing is not something for me. I go back to the more inefficiencies.
Yeah. Rico, you have a comment?
I was just nodding here, Fabian, because I agree. I think the situation now is that the consumers are ready. So I feel like at this moment it's a matter of operators and service providers, and the consumers they pretty much just need to see the great results of the digitalization. It's like, as you Fabian said, it's all about segmenting your customers and providing these marketing automations so that the end users and consumers see that it enhances their experience and their life in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, a company like Farfetch, who makes, for example, like 80% of the turnover with 20% of the customer base, if you're not aware of that fact, and if you don't know who this 20% is, where they are, what they think, where they shop, what they like, what they don't like, you like run more quickly into problems than you think.
Yeah. So do you think also, Fabian, that there's a maybe chicken and egg kind of issue in terms of the connectivity in Germany? I mean, we work quite a lot in Germany, and it's quite often a challenge, you know, the connectivity, and then there's a little bit room to improve in terms of connectivity in Germany.
So what will happen is, I think what you can see, like Volkswagen, they all have like their own like organizational units now around software development, which is also like insane. This is like, you know, happening 2021 and not like 10 years ago. But you will see is at the moment the ecosystems are pretty like closed within the car scene, but there's like a massive value to unlock. It's like the App Store, and so the minute these things open up a little bit, and I mean they open up, I think like already on browser. You know, people just like Google things, but I think, you know, you will see the same what you see in fashion retail. There's like all the growth, all the like the new multi-billion-dollar companies in the fashion retail scene are e-commerce driven companies, tech driven companies with data, with stuff like this, you know. So if you look at the business model, what they do differently, not much than the classic fashion retail stores, but they do it on scale digitally. And so it's just, it will happen. The question is, you know, only like who will be leading, who will be participate in it or not. And you know, and you either participate with the first wave, or you know, it gets harder and harder to get into that.
Yeah, and I think in Germany, especially your car industry is driving the connectivity and digitalization pretty hard, and I think the car wash industry needs to shadow that in terms of connectivity. So if you don't connect your devices into that infrastructure, you are not able to take benefit of that massive change or transformation in this industry.
Yeah. And I think, you know, all like once also like that, I mean, it is already like breaking up a little bit, you know, they've like Spotify, you can use CarPlay now, Apple is getting into the business as well, you know, so there is a lot of dynamics. Who owns the interface? How can you like participate? How can you be on that interface? Because this is in the future, like where the competition then happens.
Exactly.
I think,
Yeah.
And what if, like with voice, if like the driver is saying like, show me, I need a nice car wash, or show me the cheapest price, or where's some promotion, or who has the best food, and yeah, I can guide you. It's like 15 minutes, and you're like, yeah. And on the way to this like petrol station, you pass 2 other petrol stations. Why do people do that? Oh, because they got recommended. Yeah, the best food, if you have like a little snack, is over there. Shall I guide you? Yes. And then possibly like 2 petrol stations lost the customer.
Yeah.
Based on this.
Thank you, Fabian.
Yes,
thank you very much for interesting presentation and your comments. And I think this is it. Thank you for everybody to participate. Thank you for our speakers. Thank you for Arja for organizing this. And this webinar has been recorded, so you will get the link, so you can share this link within your organization. So if you want to look at it again, it's of course possible. And as I said earlier, if you want to continue the discussion, so please get in touch with us, and we can show you our solution. We can also talk about your specific, let's say, points of interest and so on. So please contact us. And as you can see in the slide, there's our sales director, Ari Olander at superoperator.com is always available, and he can set up an appointment with you anytime. So with this, thank you very much, and enjoy the summer, enjoy your holidays, and we will be back with another webinar in about 2 months. Thank you and goodbye.